Caitlin Clark actually refused to play for Team USA for the 3x3 basketball team.
Example is Jamel Hill. She's a contributing writer for The Atlantic. Jamel said, quote, "People need to stop panicking and putting so much weight on every single decision. The WNBA is going to have Caitlin Clark for a long time. The league isn't going to fall off a cliff if she's not on the..."
She was the name on a revolution's face, every fan's mouth. Nevertheless, Team USA departed. Her off the 5 against 5 Olympic roster.
Your opinion on this subject matter?
Well, I've given it over the last 60 hours. I broke the news. I think on both fronts, merit and publicity, it's just a total swing and a miss by the national governing body, by USA Basketball, just a missed opportunity.
Then they tried to save face, giving her a place in the 3v3 team rather. Caitlin Clark declined, out of principle rather than pride. Wasn't just rejection. It was a power play, and she's now assuming command of her personal narrative.
Clark is the star player of the WNBA.
The most popular woman ever in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most must-watch basketball player in world basketball right now.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
Caitlin Clark is a gifted player.
Caitlin is the one.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark.
Drop a CC if you're riding with Caitlin. 100% in the comments right now.
You put Caitlin Clark on the Olympic team?
Right now?
No, no. This past Olympic team.
Honestly, I have to just say that I respected the committee's job. I understood what was at play. I understood the pros and the cons, I guess, if you want to lay it out that way. And I think at the end of the day, it's hard to criticize a gold medal. A lot of people see the final game against France. They see, only winning by a couple points, and they view that as some sort of indicator. But the reality is we've been having close games at the Olympics for years. I can attest to that. So that wasn't really that new. Winning a close game like that wasn't new. That didn't have anything to do with the roster.
When word came that Caitlin Clark had declined to participate in Team USA's Olympic roster 3 versus 3, the internet erupted. To some, it looked like a diva move.
Coming forward to pretty much saying that Caitlin actually refused to play in a 3-on-3 tournament.
But if you dig deeper, it becomes evident this wasn't. This was about standing her up ground after being humiliated on the world stage. According to numerous sources, including a bombshell snippet from Christine Brennan's next book, USA Basketball was never meant to feature Clark in the renowned 5 versus 5 Olympic squad.
Brennan really holds the WA accountable, and she says the league was simply not prepared for and didn't do their homework.
Despite being the most talked about athlete in
women's basketball, she wasn't invited. Instead, they circled back with what felt like a consolation prize, a seat on the 3x3 team, a format she doesn't play, during a schedule that would necessitate her to skip important WNBA games with the fever.
It seems like she was offered a chance to play in the 3v3 and said no, and they're pissed off at that. Did Caitlin want to go to Paris for the 3v3 team? The answer from Clark and her team was simple: no. She did not want to go to...
Let's be honest, it wasn't a legitimate offer. It was bait, a brilliant PR attempt to safeguard Team USA from repercussions following the removal of the most well-liked player in the sport. But Clark and her crew didn't bite. When asked if she wanted to travel to Paris for the 3x3 team, the response was straightforward. No. She turned it down without hesitation.
Asking, was it a possibility? And do you want to know what the answer is? No. The answer is actually no.
Some say she denied the Olympics, but that's not the complete truth. She declined to be exploited, declined to be tossed in last minute just to assist Team USA save face.
Turning down. She had never played 3-on-3. That ain't her.
When it mattered, if they didn't want her most, why should she say yes when it's convenient for them? And here's the... Ironically, Clark was never qualified at all. She hadn't participated in the 3x3 qualification round, tournaments that would rank her among the best athletes need for the Olympics. Eligibility. In order to be eligible, she would have had to skip WNBA games and scramble for points in obscure international event.
Christine Brennan, new book on her game, Caitlin Clark and the revolution in women's basketball. Well, women's sports. Caitlin Clark turned down a chance to play for the USA 3-on-3 Olympic team after being left off the USA national team.
Something that no player of her caliber should be required to do. So, while the media portrayed it as Caitlin declining an opportunity to represent her nation, the reality is this: they set her up to
fail.
What's your opinion on this subject matter?
Well, I've given it over the last 60 hours. I broke the news. I think on both fronts, merit and publicity, it's just a total swing and a miss by the national governing body, by USA Basketball. Just a missed opportunity. You put Caitlin Clark on that team, and every single one of those guys that can't stand women's basketball are running to watch that team. British journalist came up and said he couldn't wait to cover Caitlin Clark. One of the concerns about Caitlin, the concern was that if she's on the team and only plays a few minutes, that the outcry and the uproar in the United States from her fans, millions and millions of fans, of course, which, by the way, that's a good thing for the WNBA.
They offered her an impossible road and then stood back when detractors called her unpatriotic for selecting herself. But Caitlin Clark didn't fold. She didn't beg. She responded with a louder no. More than a news release.
I think that there was ever a chance of her making the 5v5, and I don't know why there was ever that hope being given to her and that hope being given to fans. I think it was just a string along.
Caitlin Clark's missing from the Olympic 5 match between Team USA and 5 roster, it wasn't an anomaly. Deliberate action. Additionally, when you adhere to the trail left by leaked chats, Christine Brennan's stunning novel quotes, as well as how media insiders have discussed the matter, the situation becomes evident. They never wanted her there in the first place.
Clark turned down a chance to play for the USA 3-on-3 Olympic team after being left off the USA national team.
From the time when Olympic selections were, fans believed that Caitlin Clark, possibly the most well-known brand in women's basketball right now, would be a lock. She revitalized fan interest, broke records for viewership, sold out stadia, and provided the WNBA the spotlight it's chased. Over many years, however, when the final roster was announced, her name was nowhere to be located.
Didn't want her. They didn't want her. I don't know if they wanted Caitlin Clark. They either didn't want Caitlin Clark to play or didn't want Caitlin Clark the person. We don't know. They didn't want her.
5 versus 5. Not even a last-minute reserve.
Why?
Brennan's book states that the reasons weren't based on skill, teamwork, or experience. It was a matter of taste, or more precisely, politics. Terrifying statement from the book captures it all. They didn't want her there. There doesn't have to be any rhyme or purpose. Simply put, they didn't want her.
Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting.
Regardless of how many, the committee pushed for justifications. Chemistry, experience, or her still developing pro game, it was evident something deeper was at play. It's not that Clark wasn't good enough. It's that she wasn't on the agenda. Was jealousy from veterans, discomfort with the attention she commands, or opposition to her changing the story of women's basketball? There were forces operating in the background to keep her out.
Seems to be resentment of Caitlin Clark bringing the eyeballs in. And the thing that's the biggest head scratch is I don't think it's because of what she's saying or how she's carrying herself.
There is no one in the WNBA that has received that. Not Taurasi, not Jewel Lloyd, not Kelsey Plum, not Inescu, none of them. What does that mean? That means she's the most important player in the league. She's not the best player in the league, not yet, maybe never, who knows, but she's the most important.
Additionally, when that backlash burst, when fans started questioning why the league's most well-liked player had been left out, Team USA didn't double down on their earlier stance. Instead, they tried to clean things up, granting her a place in the 3v3 squad. being well aware that she was ineligible.
I think it was best for both, and I said that at the time. I thought she had played a lot of basketball. I think she was tired. She needed a break. I didn't think she earned it. And there were other players who probably were in front of her who didn't make it as well. I'm going to guess she'll probably be on the next Olympic.
To qualify for 3x3, Clark would have required to be rated based on prior 3x3 performances, something she didn't have. She would had to forego the Fever Games, enter several qualifying competitions throughout the WNBA season, and seek to reach the rankings in time. In other words, they urged her to risk her team, her health, and her time of year, all for a kind of basketball she's never played.